The Armenian Apostolic Church is the national church of the Armenian people, part of Oriental Orthodoxy. It is one of the most ancient Christian communities. Armenia was the first country to adopt Christianity as its official religion in the early 4th century. The church claims to have originated in the missions of Apostles Bartholomew and Thaddeus in the 1st century. It is sometimes referred to as the Armenian Orthodox Church, a Gregorian church. The latter is not preferred by the church itself, as it views the Apostles Bartholomew and Thaddeus as its founders, and Saint Gregory the Illuminator as merely the first official governor of the church. It is also simply known as the Armenian Church. History. Origins. The Armenian Church claims apostolic succession through the Apostles Bartholomew and Thaddeus. According to legend, the latter of the two apostles is said to have cured Abgar of Edessa of leprosy with the image of Edessa, leading to his conversion in 30 AD. Thaddeus was then commissioned by Abgar to proselytize throughout Armenia, where he converted the king Sanatruk's daughter, who was eventually martyred alongside Thaddeus when Sanatruk later fell into apostasy. After this, Bartholomew came to Armenia, bringing a portrait of the Virgin Mary, which he placed in a nunnery he founded over a former temple of Anahen. Bartholomew then converted the sister of Sanatruk, who once again martyred a female relative and the apostle who converted her. Both apostles ordained native bishops before their execution, and some other Armenians had been ordained outside of Armenia by James the Just. According to Eusebius and Tertullian, Armenian Christians were persecuted by kings Axides, Khosrophon, and Tiridates III, the last of whom was converted to Christianity by Gregory the Illuminator. Ancient Armenia's adoption of Christianity as a state religion has been referred to by Nina Garsoian as probably the most crucial step in its history. This conversion distinguished it from its Iranian and Mazdaean roots and protected it from further Parthian influence. Other scholars as well have stated that the acceptance of Christianity by the Arsacid Armenian rulers was partly in defiance of the Sassanids. When King Tridar IV made Christianity the state religion of Armenia between 301 and 314, it was not an entirely new religion there. It had penetrated the country from at least the 3rd century, and may have been present even earlier. Tiridates declared Gregory to be the first Catholicos of the Armenian Church and sent him to Caesarea to be consecrated. Upon his return, Gregory tore down shrines to idols, built churches and monasteries, and ordained many priests and bishops. While meditating in the old capital city of Vafhashipat, Gregory had a vision of Christ descending to the earth and striking it with a hammer. For that spot arose a great Christian temple with a huge cross. He was convinced that God intended him to build the main Armenian church there. With the king's help he did so in accord with his vision. He renamed the city Echmiadzin, which means the place of the descent of the only begotten. Initially the Armenian church participated in the larger church world. Its Catholicos was represented at the First Council of Nicaea and the First Council of Constantinople. Although unable to attend the Council of Ephesus, the Catholicos Isaac Parthiev sent a message agreeing with its decisions. The Armenian Church began to distance itself from the Roman concept of the universal church when, in 373, King Papas appointed Catholicos Husic without first sending him to Caesarea for commissioning. Christianity was strengthened in Armenia in the 5th century by the translation of the Bible into the Armenian language by the native theologian, monk, and scholar St. Mesrob Mashtots. Before the 5th century, Armenians had spoken language, but it was not written. Thus, the Bible and liturgy were written in Greek or Syriac rather than Armenian. The Catholicos Sahak commissioned Mesrob to create an Armenian alphabet, which he completed in 406. Subsequently, the Bible and liturgy were translated into Armenian and written in the new script. The translation of the Bible, along with the translation of other works of history, literature and philosophy, caused a flowering of Armenian literature and a broader cultural renaissance. Unlike the Bible used in other Eastern churches, the Armenian Bible originally had 39 books in the Old Testament. What are commonly called the Apocrypha or deuterocanonical books were not translated until the 8th century and not read in the churches until the 12th century. Independence. At the First Council of Dvin in 506, the Synod of the Armenian, Georgian, and Caucasian Albanian bishops were assembled during the reign of Catholicos Babkanai. The participation of the Catholicoi of Georgia and Albania were set to make clear the position of the churches concerning the Council of Chalcedon. The Book of Epistles mentions that 20 bishops, 14 laymen, and many Nakaras participated in the council. The involvement in the council discussion of different level of laypersons seemed to be a general rule in Armenia. Almost a century later, the Third Council of Dvin was convened during the reign of Catholicos Abraham of Abatank and Prince Smerbat Bagratuni, with clergymen and laymen participating. The Georgian Church disagreed with the Armenian Church, having approved the Christology of Chalcedon. This council was convened to clarify the relationship between the Armenian and Georgian churches. After the council, Catholicos Abraham wrote an encyclical letter addressed to the people, blaming Curian and his adherents for the schism. The council never set up canons, it only deprived Georgians from taking communion in the Armenian Church. Despite this, the Albanian Church remained under the jurisdiction of the Armenian Church while in communion with the Georgian Church. Miaphysitism versus monophysitism. Like all Oriental Orthodox churches, the Armenian Church has been referred to as monophysite by both Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox theologians because it rejected the decisions of the Council of Chalcedon, which condemned the belief of one incarnate nature of Christ. The Armenian Church officially severed ties with Roman Constantinople in 554, during the Second Council of Dvin, where the Chalcedonian Diaphysite Christological formula was rejected. However, again like other Oriental Orthodox churches, the Armenian Orthodox Church argues that the identification as monophysitism is an incorrect description of its position. It considers monophysitism as taught by Eutyches and condemned at Chalcedon a heresy, and only disagrees with the formula defined by the Council of Chalcedon. The Armenian Church instead adheres to the doctrine defined by Cyril of Alexandria, considered as a saint by the Chalcedonian churches as well, who described Christ as being of one incarnate nature, where both divine and human nature are united. To distinguish this from Eutychian and other versions of monophysitism, this position is called miaphysitism, whereas the prefix mono means only, thus emphasizing the singular nature of Christ. Mia simply means one unemphatically, and allows for a compound nature. In recent times, both Chalcedonian and non-Chalcedonian churches have developed a deeper understanding for each other's positions, recognizing the substantial agreement while maintaining the respective theological language, structure and leadership. The Armenian Apostolic Church is the central religious authority for the Armenian Orthodox population in the Republic of Armenia as well as for Armenian Orthodox communities worldwide. It is headed by a Catholicos, although it is traditional in Eastern churches for the supreme head of the church to be named Patriarch. In the Armenian Apostolic Church hierarchy, the position of the Catholicos is higher than that of the Patriarch. The Armenian Apostolic Church presently has 2 Catholicoi and 2 Patriarchs, plus primates, archbishops and bishops, lower clergy and laity serving the Church. Both clergy and laity are involved in the administrative structure of the Church. Led by Karakan II, the spiritual and administrative work of the Armenian Church is carried out in the Republic of Armenia in the areas of religion, preparation of clergy, Christian education, construction of new churches, social services, and ecumenical activities. Underneath this administrative structure of the hierarchical sees, the Catholicosate of the Great House of Cilicia, located in Antelias, Lebanon, is led by Catholicos Aramea, and it has dioceses in the countries of the Middle East, in Europe and in North and South America. The Armenian Patriarchate of Jerusalem, which has jurisdiction over all of the Holy Lands and the Diocese of Jordan, is led by Patriarch Archbishop Norhan Monagian. The Armenian Patriarchate of Constantinople and all of Turkey, which has jurisdiction in the modern-day Republic of Turkey, is led by Patriarch Archbishop Mesrod Mutafian, while the three aforementioned historic hierarchical sees administer to the dioceses under their jurisdiction as they see fit. The spiritual authority of the Catholicosate of all Armenians remains supreme, in addition to the responsibilities of overseeing the respective dioceses. Each hierarchical see, and the mother see of Holy Echmiadzin, has a monastic brotherhood. Seminaries. The Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin operates two seminaries, the Gevorkian Theological Seminary at the Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin, and the Vaskanian Theological Academy at Lake 7. Over a 6-year course of simultaneous study, students receive both a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in theology. The Great House of Cilicia operates one seminary, the Seminary of Antelias at Baikfalia, Lebanon. Upon graduation, students receive the equivalent of a high school diploma and pre-graduate theological study. The Armenian Patriarchate of Jerusalem operates the St. Tarkmanshat School and the Theological Seminary of the Patriarchate. Upon graduation, students receive the diploma in theology and other subjects. The Armenian Patriarchate of Constantinople had its own seminary, the Holy Cross Patriarchal Seminary, which was shut down by Turkish authorities in Turkey along with all other private schools of higher education. St. SS Armenian Seminary in New Rochelle, New York also trains Armenian priests, awarding the Master of Divinity in Theology. St. SS also offers a Master of Arts in Armenian Christian Studies. Structure regionally, each area of the world where the Armenian Church and faithful are located has dioceses, which are led by a primate from the diocesan headquarters. Each diocese is made up of parishes and smaller communities. The spiritual and administrative bodies representing the authority of the Armenian Church are the following. The National Ecclesiastical Assembly is the supreme legislative body presided over by the Catholicos of all Armenians. The members of the National Ecclesiastical Assembly are elected by the individual diocesan assemblies. The National Ecclesiastical Assembly elects the Catholicos of all Armenians. The Council of Bishops is an administrative deliberative body presided over by the Catholicos of all Armenians. It makes suggestions on the dogmatic, religious, church, parish and canonical issues to be discussed as agenda items during the National Ecclesiastical Assembly. The Supreme Spiritual Council is the highest executive body of the Armenian Church and is presided over by the Catholicos of all Armenians. The members of the council can be elected by the National Ecclesiastical Assembly or appointed by the Catholicos of all Armenians. The Catholicos of all Armenians, Gevorgvisorenian, established the Supreme Spiritual Council on January 1, 1924, to replace the Synod of Bishops. The Diocesan Assembly is the highest legislative body of each diocese and is headed by the primate of the diocese. The diocesan delegates elect the delegates to the National Ecclesiastical Assembly, the members of the diocesan council, as well as discuss and decide on administrative issues within the diocese such as committees, budgets, building, etc. In some dioceses, the diocesan assembly elects the primate of the diocese. The diocesan council is the highest executive power of a diocese, presided over by the primate of the diocese. It regulates the inner administrative activity of the diocese under the direction of the primate. The diocesan assembly elects members of the diocesan council. The monastic brotherhood consists of the celibate clergy of the monastery who are led by an abbot. As of 2010, there were 3 brotherhoods in the Armenian Church: the Brotherhood of the Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin, and the Brotherhood of St. James at the Armenian Patriarchate of Jerusalem, and a Brotherhood of the See of Cilicia. Each Armenian celibate priest becomes a member of the brotherhood in which he has studied and ordained in, or under the jurisdiction of which he has served. The brotherhood makes decisions concerning the inner affairs of the monastery. Each brotherhood elects 2 delegates who take part in the National Ecclesiastical Assembly. The parish assembly is the general assembly of the community presided over by the spiritual pastor. The parish assembly elects or appoints the members of the parish council, and the representatives are delegates to the diocesan assembly. The parish council is the executive administrative body of the community. It is presided over by the spiritual pastor of the community, who takes up the inner administrative affairs of the parish and is engaged in the realization of its administrative and financial activities. Members of the parish council are elected or appointed at the parish assembly. The Armenian Apostolic Church is one of a few apostolic churches in the world to have a democratic system. The people decide if they want to keep priests in the churches and may ask for different ones, as do some other ecclesiastical constitutions, such as Baptists and other congregational churches. Note that the Armenian Apostolic Church should not be confused, however, with the Armenian Catholic Church, whose Patriarch Catholicos is Krikor Bedros XX Gabroyan, which is an Eastern Catholic Church in communion with the Holy See in Rome. 2 Catholicos. The Armenian Apostolic Church currently has 2 sees, with the Catholicos of all Armenians residing in Echmiadzin, Armenia, at the Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin, having preeminent supremacy in all spiritual matters over the See of Cilicia, located in Antelias, Lebanon, which administers to the dioceses under its jurisdiction as they see fit. The 2 sees are as follows: Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin. The Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin is the spiritual and administrative headquarters of the worldwide Armenian Church, the center of the faith of the Armenian nation, the mother cathedral of the Armenian Church, and the pontifical residence of Karakan II. The Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin is a blend of the past, present and future of the worldwide Armenian Church, preserving the past of the numerous museums, libraries and the Mother Cathedral itself, all holding a vast richness of history and treasures. The Mother See is responsible for the preservation of artifacts, both those created by the Church and those given to the Church as gifts over time, carrying on the work of the present and future of the innumerable departments and programs of the Armenian Church. Under the leadership and guidance of Karakan II, the Mother See administers to social, cultural and educational programs for Armenia and the diaspora. The Mother Cathedral is the most recognized landmark of the Armenian Church, built and consecrated by St. Gregory the Illuminator and St. Tridar the Great in AD 303. The cathedral is located in the city of Vafharshipat, Armenia. It is said that St. Gregory chose the location of the cathedral in accordance with a vision. In his dream he saw Miatzin, the only begotten Son of God, with glittering light on his face descending from the heavens and with a golden hammer striking the ground where the cathedral was to be located. Hence comes the name Echmiadzin, which translates literally to the place where Miatzin descended. The Mother Cathedral is open every day. Divine liturgy is celebrated every Sunday. Great House of Cilicia. The Catholic Ossate of the Great House of Cilicia, located in Antelias, Lebanon, is a regional see of the Armenian Apostolic Church and is an autonomous church with jurisdiction over certain segments of the Armenian diaspora. As of 2012, Catholicos Arami was the head and Catholicos of the Great House of Cilicia. The see has jurisdiction over prelacies in Lebanon, Syria, Cyprus, Greece, Iran, the Persian Gulf, the United States, Canada and Venezuela. In the United States, Canada, Syria, and Greece there are also dioceses that are related to the Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin. So there is duality of representation of the Armenian Apostolic Churches in these countries. The primacy of the Catholic Ossate of all Armenians has always been recognized by the Catholic Ossate of the Great House of Cilicia. The rise of the Great House of Cilicia as an autocephalous church occurred after the fall of Ani and the Armenian Kingdom of the Baghraidids in 1045. Masses of Armenians migrated to Cilicia and the Catholic Ossate was established there. The seat of the church was first established in Shivas, moving to Tavblor, then to Dzomendave, Dzovk, Hromgla, and finally to Sis, then capital of the Armenian Kingdom of Cilicia. Beginning in 1293 and continuing for more than 6 centuries, the city of Sis was the center of the Catholic Ossate of the Great House of Cilicia. After the fall of the Armenian Kingdom of Cilicia in 1375, the Church continued in its leadership role in the Armenian community, and the Catholicos was recognized as ethnarch. In 1441, Kyriakos Ivaripetsi of Armenia was elected Catholicos in Holy Echmiadzin. At the same time, the residing Catholicos in Sis, Gregory IX Musabijin, remained as Catholicos of Cilicia. Since 1441, there have continued to be 2 Catholic Ossates in the Armenian Church, each having rights and privileges, and each with its own jurisdiction. During the First World War and the 1915 Armenian Genocide, the Armenian population and the home of the Catholic Ossate at the monastery of St. Sophia of Sis was destroyed. The last residing Catholicos in Sis was Sahag II of Cilicia, who followed his Armenian flock into exile from Turkey. Since 1930, the Catholic Ossate of the Great House of Cilicia has been headquartered in Antelias, Lebanon. Reasons for the division. The division of the 2 Catholic Ossates stemmed from frequent relocations of church headquarters due to political and military upheavals. The division between the 2 sees intensified during the Soviet period and to some extent reflected the politics of the Cold War. The Armenian Revolutionary Federation Dashnakt Sutain Social Democratic political party that had dominated the independent Republic of Armenia from 1918 to 1920 and was active in the diaspora, saw the church and clergy, with its worldwide headquarters at the Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin in the Soviet Republic of Armenia, as a captive communist puppet, and accused its clergy in the U.S. as unduly influenced by communists, particularly as the clergy were reluctant to participate in nationalist events and memorials that could be perceived as anti-Soviet. On December 24, 1933, a group of assassins attacked Eastern Diocese Archbishop Levonturian as he walked down the aisle of Holy Cross Armenian Church in the Washington Heights neighborhood of New York City during the Divine Liturgy, and killed him with a butcher's knife. 9 ARF members were later arrested, tried and convicted. The incident divided the Armenian community, as ARF sympathizers established congregations independent of the mother see of Holy Echmiadzin, declaring loyalty instead to the see based in Antelias in Lebanon. The division was formalized in 1956 when the Antelias see broke away from the mother see of Holy Echmiadzin see. The separation has become entrenched in the United States, with most large Armenian communities having two parish churches, one answering to each see, even though they are theologically indistinguishable. There have been numerous lay and clergy efforts at reunion, especially since the fall of the Soviet Union. In 1995, Karakan II, Catholicos of Cilicia for the period 1983 to 1994, was elected Catholicos of all Armenians in the Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin upon the death of Vazganai, becoming Karakan I Catholicos of all Armenians, and serving as supreme head of the church until 1999. He was unable to unite the two Catholicosades. However, despite his having headed both two patriarchates, Constantinople and Jerusalem, the Armenian Apostolic Church also has two patriarchates of high authority, both under the jurisdiction of the Catholicos of all Armenians. They are Armenian Patriarchate of Jerusalem in the Armenian Quarter of Jerusalem, headed since 2013 by the Patriarch of Jerusalem Archbishop Nurhan Managian; Armenian Patriarchate of Constantinople in Istanbul, Turkey, headed since 1998 by Patriarch of Constantinople Archbishop Mesrob II Mutafian. In July 2010, the Spiritual Council of Armenian Patriarchate of Constantinople approved the candidacy of Archbishop Aram H. to serve as Patriarchal Vicar of the Patriarchate. In July 2008, it was announced that Mesrob Mutafian was suffering from Alzheimer's disease and had withdrawn from all his duties and from public life, but would be Patriarch and Archbishop all his life. Comparison to other churches. Liturgically speaking, the Church has much in common both with the Latin Rite in its externals, especially as it was at the time of separation, as well as with the Eastern Orthodox Church. For example, Armenian bishops wear mitres almost identical to those of Western bishops. They usually do not use a full iconostasis, but rather a sanctuary veil. The liturgical music is Armenian chant. Many of the Armenian churches also have pipe organs to accompany their chant. Armenian priests below the rank of bishop are allowed to be married before ordination, and the descendants' surnames are prefixed with the prefix der, meaning Lord, to indicate the lineage. Such a married priest is known as a kahana. The Armenian Apostolic Church celebrates the Nativity of Jesus in combination with the Feast of the Epiphany, parting Armenian Christmas on the 6th of January in the Church's calendar. This contrasts with the more common celebration of Christmas on the 25th of December, originally a Western Christian tradition, which Armenia only briefly adopted before reverting to its original practice. Since 1923, the Church has mainly used the Gregorian calendar shared by most civil authorities and Western Christian churches. The only exception is the Armenian Patriarchate of Jerusalem, where the Old Julian calendar is used, parting nativity celebrations on the 19th of January in the Gregorian calendar. The Armenian Apostolic Church is distinct from the Armenian Catholic Church, the latter being a sui juris Eastern Catholic Church, part of the Catholic Church. When in the 1740s, Abraham Pierre Iardzivian, who had earlier become a Catholic, was elected as the Patriarch of Sis, he led part of the Armenian Apostolic Church into full communion with the Pope, and the Armenian Catholic Church was created.